Welcome everyone to Small Business Power Hour. Today is November 22nd, 2017. Marketing and growth tips for small business owners. Today's episode will be specific to Instagram and other follower-based social media channels. So this will be very much a social media conversation. We're going to do a lot of focus on Instagram because our guest speaker is an Instagram fan expert. So we'll spend about 5 minutes talking about the philosophy of the webinar series and just do some initial presentations of myself and the guest speaker. Then I'm going to swing it over to Seth, and we're just going to take over the presentation. I told them to make a very sort of loose, casual presentation and do it more. We're going to basically do it heavily based on the questions that we get from the live audience. So there's some things that he'll present, and some will be dynamic based on the questions that will come in. And then we'll have a final Q&A at the end. Now, this webinar series is a monthly webinar series. We started at the middle of this year, so we had about 5 episodes in. The website is still under construction, sbpowerhour.com, but the Facebook group is not. So just search for Small Business Power Hour, SB Power Hour, and there's a Facebook group, which is a great place to continue the discussion about marketing or strategy for small business. So regularly, the webinar series is every third Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern. It would go 30 to 60 minutes long. There's no strict time schedule. You register for one of them, you access all of them. If you're watching this live, then you don't have to do anything else. If you're watching the recording, then you have to go to sbpowerhour.com to register for them. And basically what we want to discuss is tips, tricks for small business owners in the areas of marketing strategy and growth. So if you go to this link that's in the screen, bit.ly/SB Power Hour, that will take you to a YouTube playlist that contains all the past episodes that we've had. And I do want to show you that, because if you're joining us for the very first time, I think it would be heavily contextual for you to kind of see the other resources that are available. Let me change the screen so you can see my Google Chrome screen. Okay, you should be seeing my Google Chrome screen. So that was the link I put up there, bit.ly/SB Power Hour. And that link will take you to this playlist that contains 3 recorded episodes of Small Business Power Hour, 1 video called I'm a CPA, so why do I make videos, and why should you watch that video, because it's going to supposed to be inspirational for you to get into video marketing. Then there's this video called 30 Elements of Value. Then we have this one called QB Power Hour Live from QB Connect. YouTube is a new business card. I kind of talk about how YouTube is basically the new standard for marketing. And then a quick 4-minute video with my new camera, kind of talking about how I teach marketing to accountants, video marketing to accountants. So let me go back and switch back into my PowerPoint presentation. So make sure you take a picture of that or download the slides and check out those videos. They're freely available in YouTube. About myself, my name is Hector Garcia. I'm a CPA, accounting, technology, planning, management, consulting is kind of what I do. But marketing is a very important piece of how I build my practice, and I'm sharing it with my colleagues. I'm actually not a marketing consultant. You can't hire me or pay me to help you do any sort of marketing consultant. This is not what I do. Okay, so all I do is accounting work, QuickBooks work, but I'm sharing my journey, my path into growing my business with marketing. So that's the purpose of my involvement with this. Now, this will be the last Small Business Power Hour of the year, and it will go to sleep on pause until the end of next tax season. So we had 95% of people are accountants, so you understand exactly why I can't do any episodes during tax season, but stay tuned. I have your email. If something comes up, something amazing comes up from now until April 15th, I will let you know and obviously invite you to that webinar. About our guest, his name is Seth Morrissey, and if I mispronounce it, Seth, make sure to correct me. He's a co-founder of Oregon Web Solutions, one of the top digital marketing agencies in Oregon. Over 10 years of experience in the fields of social media, video marketing. His website is OregonWebSolutions.com. How I found Seth is I was doing research on Instagram for this very, very same topic. And I found his resources to be extremely valuable. And he had a couple of videos in YouTube. So I contacted him and say, hey, it sounds like you are an expert in the field of Instagram. Would you like to join me in this webinar and teach a bunch of accountants on how Instagram works for accounting? And in exchange, obviously you get to explain who you are and potentially pick up some clients along the way, and also give me a free class on Instagram. So it actually works out win-win-win. Anyway, Seth, are you on? Can we get you on?
I'm here, Hector. Thanks for having me.
Okay, thank you. Do you want to do a quick intro of yourself before I give you pass you the baton?
Yeah, I think you said most of it, but I'll just start off by saying I don't consider myself necessarily an Instagram expert. I consider myself a search engine optimization and video marketing expert. But lately, I've been really dabbling into Instagram because I see the power of it, and so now I'm just kind of here to share what I've found out.
Okay, so let me do a quick run through of like what social media means in the context before you go into Instagram. So when people hear the word social media, typically the words that pop out is Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. For the most part, it would be Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Those are, let's call them, the legacy social media platforms. And then YouTube, a lot of people don't see it as a social media platform, but it very, very much is, especially if you combine a YouTube video with a Facebook group or a YouTube video in one of your Instagrams, or you link to a YouTube video from an article you write in LinkedIn, something like that. So when you combine them, YouTube is very much social media. And then there's the few that are sort of newer, which are Snapchat and Pinterest, which I'll let Seth tell you his opinion about them. But he chooses not to focus on those two, Snapchat and Pinterest, because it's not as relevant to service professionals, which is the market that I work with and the market that he concentrates in. So I'll let him talk briefly about it. And ultimately, in my opinion, the social media is there to complement your Google search, your SEO. So when someone goes to Google and searches for, hey, how do I reconcile my bank account? The idea is that search sends it straight into your website or a blog, right? That's the idea. And you do search engine optimization, and you create a lot of content for your website for that to happen. But that's only when people are actually searching something in Google. There are cases in which people are not searching for something. They just happen to be, just doing random things on the web. And if they're connected to you and they follow you in Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever, and you happen to share the resource, social media is a little bit different. Social media is more of a push type of information delivery system, where Google search and SEO is for pull. When the client's ready to look for the information and is searching for it, that's what your website, your blog, and search engine optimization, Google search, is for. But then social media is for when people are just browsing or just generally interested on what you got to say. Seth, can you give us a pretty similar assessment of the entire social media space?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with what you just said. So Google search is, and especially organic, is the highest converting form of traffic. And the reason it is because when people search something in Google, they're usually ready to buy. And so that is the place that you need to have set up. You need to be ranking in Google, and social media is never going to be a substitute for that. Let's just put that out there first off. Now, social media, when I post on social media, there's two things I'm thinking about. I'm either going out there and I'm trying to reach new people, or I'm trying to entertain my current base and community. So I think we need to separate those two out. Okay, first off, right off the bat. So if I'm on social media and I'm trying to reach new people, I'm trying to get attention out there in the marketplace by pushing content out into the marketplace. And that's what everyone should be doing that's on this webinar. But at the same time, the people that are already doing business with you, you want to be able to entertain them and keep them interested on a daily, or at the very least a weekly basis. So I usually try to segment my social media activity into those two separate categories.
Okay, and the other sort of concept that I wanted to discuss is social media is not just for new customers, right? I mean, isn't there a huge push to have customers that are your existing customers that you're not necessarily trying to get because they're already your customers, to keep them connected with you in social media?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's your community. So, you want to keep your community entertained. You want to keep them constantly having content, whether it's relevant to the industry, whether it's your business or it's just stuff that's entertaining. You want to constantly keep them entertained through social media, because then you're front and center in their mind when they're ready to make another purchase or come back and do business with you.
Plus, it protects you against a competitor of yours starting to make some big moves in social media, getting popular, getting famous, quote unquote, right? To steal your business away, right?
Absolutely.
I'm gonna pass over the baton to you so you can do your presentation, and I'll tell you if I can see your screen. Let me know when you have your screen showing up. And you can turn on your webcam if you want to set it. If you don't, I'll turn off mine. So let me know.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't really set up for webcam, so let me see if I can get it going though. If you give me just a second.
Right.
Let's see if we can do that.
As long as you're not wearing your pajamas.
No.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. So that's the wrong one. I have two plugged in. Hold on, guys.
That's all right. That's all right.
All right, so I'm gonna bag the webcam. Sorry, I wasn't quite ready for that one.
No problem. Yeah, I'll stop sharing mine too.
So I'm just gonna get right into it. So
Right.
Hector asked me to get into Instagram and Snapchat, and I'll just say right off the bat, Instagram is my favorite social media platform, without a doubt. I love Instagram. Number two is Facebook, though, and I think Facebook is very powerful from an organic perspective. Maybe not so much, but definitely from a ads perspective. Nothing is more powerful than Facebook ads. So I'm just going to throw that out there before I really get into the presentation, so you can see where I'm at. I'm also a big fan of both LinkedIn and YouTube. So you should be utilizing all of those for your business as we move through the presentation. So I'm just going to get right into it. So a little bit about Instagram versus Snapchat. So there was a time when I think Snapchat really started to make a run at Instagram, and people were really getting into kind of the intimacy of the platform. And back in August of 2016, Instagram introduced Instagram stories. And basically what that did is it basically stole the functionality from Snapchat and moved it onto the Instagram platform. And I think at that point, that was just kind of a killer for Snapchat. So, especially if you guys don't already have a big Snapchat following, I would highly recommend just go ahead and putting it aside for business marketing and focusing all your energy onto Instagram. I just want to make sure you can hear me, Hector. Are we good to go?
We're good to go. You're doing great.
Okay, great. So I'm going to move right into this. So just a little stats before we get into this. Instagram, about 500 million daily users. Snapchat, about 170 million daily users. So there is a lot of people on Snapchat, as you can see from those stats. But the difference between the two is Snapchat is very hard to promote. So you can see right here, there's this little QR code on the Snapchat icon. That is really the only way to promote your Snapchat. In fact, if someone gave you their and said, hey, I want you to find me on Snapchat, it'd be really hard to do. Compare that to Instagram, where you have a clear URL that you can send people to. They can search you on the platform. So there's just a lot of easier ways to be found on Instagram than there is on Snapchat. Okay.
So Snapchat is more for like sort of deeper interpersonal connections, not so much for business. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm saying that you can use it for business if you kind of want to show that behind the scenes and you want to have that more intimate feel. But what I'm saying more than anything, I guess, is that the effort that it would take to build that Snapchat following, I would just recommend taking that effort and putting it into Instagram and focusing on one platform. And the actual return you're going to get is going to be a lot better, in my opinion. Now, if you already have a big Snapchat following, absolutely use it. People that are on Snapchat are very loyal. You can have 20 people follow you on Snapchat, and when you post something, you might get 20 views. All 20 will look at it because it's a very intimate platform. But since Instagram integrated all of the same functionality as Snapchat, I think it's done. So it's obviously still around. It's a walking corpse. People are still using it. But as far as going forward, I think that Instagram's already given it the death blow that'll eventually kill it.
Isn't it true that one of the big investors pulled out of Snapchat
They might have, yeah, yeah. And I know once Instagram rolled out stories, there's been a lot of people within the industry really just kind of saying that that's the end of Snapchat, and I tend
That's
to
good
agree.
to know. The millennial folks that work in my office, they're telling them you got to get on Snapchat, this and that, and I was hesitant. So that pretty much sells me on just focusing on Instagram and Facebook. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm not saying you can't make inroads on Snapchat, but if you did take that same effort and you focused on Instagram, your return at the end of the day is going to be so much more. And if you take a look at this network preferences by generation, I thought this was just important to pull up. If you look, Facebook is still the dominant platform. You know, there's so many more people on Facebook than any other platform. And the great thing about Facebook is it's spread out between all generations, millennials, Generation X, baby boomers. If you look at Twitter, you know, it's kind of like screaming into an empty room. You know, you can never tell who's alive on Twitter or whether it's just a bunch of bots. So I'm not very bullish on Twitter. As far as Instagram, you know, you can see Instagram is really focused on millennials and Generation X and not so much baby boomers. So if you're an accountant, let's say, and your clients are baby boomers, it's going to be really hard to reach them through Instagram. You know, I'll just throw that out there. So I think it's got to be one pillar in your social media marketing, but it can't be the entire thing. But it's definitely worth.
Give you what I think is the other side of the coin. I think that you're right. Reaching baby boomer customers in Instagram may not be as productive, but as we grow our businesses, we want to attract talent, and it's getting increasingly difficult to find really talented people. So I believe that maybe promoting your business in Instagram or even Snapchat for the purpose of attracting talent or starting to build, you know, these folks that will love to work with you just because you're heavily involved in the social media world. So I wouldn't discard the fact that maybe you don't attract your direct customers through Snapchat or Instagram, but you can attract talent. I don't know what you think about that.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that the customers, potential customers that are on Instagram that maybe aren't ready to do business with you yet, if you prime the pump early, I think as they age and create their own businesses, then you can bring them on board. So as long as you have a long-term vision, I think it's definitely worth marketing on Instagram, you know, even for millennials and Generation X, because they're going to grow up too one day. All right, so moving on, I talked about this briefly, but it's worth reiterating. If you look at this phone right here, this is what Instagram stories look like. So this is basically a functionality within Instagram where you have your feed, which you can see here on my Oregon Web Solutions page. You have your feed that's static. So anytime you post a new photo, it stays up here permanently. The Instagram stories are temporary. So 24 hours you post on them and then they go away. And what's so nice about Instagram stories is you can post things that are kind of behind the scenes that aren't necessarily as high as quality as content that you'd want on your permanent feed, right? So you can post things that are just something throughout your day, and you can interact with your audience on a daily basis and not have to have that super quality content every time you post. And in fact, before Instagram rolled out Instagram stories, they were seeing the amount of content on the platform really go down because the bar was set so high. You know, if you're going to put something on your profile, people really want it to be the highest quality, and people just were having trouble coming up with content. And when they integrated Instagram stories, the amount of people posting skyrocketed because now all of a sudden it's only there for 24 hours, so you can post really anything. And so I think it's a great way to kind of show that behind the scenes thing, kind of like you would with Snapchat, that's not a permanent staple on your profile. And I must mention too, in Instagram, the only place you can send a link is right here in the profile. With Instagram stories, you can actually, once you get 10,000 followers, you can actually link within the Instagram story. And so that's kind of the benchmark of where you want to get that 10K mark. So you can send people to your website, to videos. You know, Hector, for example, you could post an Instagram story and send people to the YouTube video where you give a longer explanation of what you're talking about. And that direct linking is a really powerful way to send traffic anywhere to your different assets online. All right, so I don't know who the audience out there, and I don't know how much experience you have with Instagram. So I'm just going to start at the very beginning and just give you some stats. And please, any questions you have, I'd be happy to cover them. So I'm just going to go through this real quick about 5 reasons why you need to be on Instagram. So fastest growing social platform, 25% growth last year alone. Instagram has the best engagement. So you'll notice this when you create your Instagram account, if you use things like hashtags. When you post a post on Instagram, almost instantly you're going to start getting likes and engagement. and compare that to Twitter or Facebook, it's just not the same. So, you know, the stats show that Instagram has 50 times more engagement than Facebook and 120 times more than Twitter, okay? And also, you can reach more of your followers. So let's say you have 100 followers on Instagram. It's theoretically possible to reach 100% of your followers when you make a post, whereas anyone out there with Facebook pages knows that when you post on your business page, it's like a ghost town now. You have to really, it's literally pay to play to reach any of your followers. And I'm sure you've noticed that, Hector.
Yes, I have. Yep.
Okay, great. And so Instagram is kind of moving away from that model, but there's still a lot of opportunity there if you move quickly. All right, now as far as organic account growth, anyone that's tried to grow a Facebook fan page knows it can be very challenging to do that organically. Contrast that with Instagram, and you can still really grow organically within your niche if you have quality content and if you use hashtags. And finally, Instagram is niche based. So you don't want to just set up general pages. You want to find your tribe and create a page that's very niche specific. All right, just a little bit about Instagram basics. This is a visually based platform. So quality images rule the platform. Don't post anything low quality. People aren't going to like it. It's really visually based. And so you need to kind of focus and tailor your profile around that. Next, it's a mobile social network. So it's limited functionality when you try to access it from desktop. So this makes a lot of people angry because they can't post as well from their desktop, but that's why you get all the engagement, because people that are on Instagram are actively on their phone scrolling through Instagram, and that's why the engagement's so high, because almost 99% of people access it from mobile. Finally, you need to deliver value. People aren't on Instagram to be sold to, so you need to take a longer view when you're doing your marketing and really start by just entertaining your audience and delivering value to them, and then make that sale on the back end. Maybe send them to a landing page of sorts where they get even more value, and they can eventually, go through some kind of opt-in form to get an analysis from you or a quote. But you don't ever want to do that on Instagram. That's a good way to lose your audience. Like I said, niche focused, and consistency is key. You need to post either once a week or once daily, which is a huge undertaking. Anyone who's ever been active on social media knows how much it takes to post every day. But if you really want to build that platform and that engagement, it's going to take consistency.
But Seth, is it possible, let's say, for example, you don't have the consistency to post every day. Is it possible to schedule the posts? So if I have a whole bunch of a series of of pictures with insight I want to share, is it possible to schedule it out so it feels like I'm doing it every day, but I'm not literally sitting in my Instagram doing it?
Absolutely. So there's a lot of platforms you can use to schedule, like Hootsuite, and there's other ones out there. The only problem is desktop has limited functionality. So the things that you can do within Instagram on a mobile device are far greater than if you do it from a computer. And I have a lot of different Instagram accounts where I do have virtual assistants post from their desktop, and they do well. But Instagram is the kind of platform where there's really no shortcut to it. And that's why the engagement's so high, and that's why it has so much power, is because if you want to win on Instagram, you're going to have to put in the time, and that's all there is to it. And that means being on your phone a lot, engaging with your audience, responding to personal messages, tagging people, commenting. All those things are what's going to help grow your platform.
And you mentioned Hootsuite. What is that?
Yeah.
You mind showing that on the website so people know?
Yeah. So Hootsuite is just this is just a program that you can use to automate your social media. So basically, you can post you could schedule all your social media for the week, and then this will just post it for you. And there's a lot of different options out there. This is just my favorite.
So if you want to sit there on your phone and post every day, you could use this app or this platform to create your post beforehand and schedule them.
Yeah, and there's other platforms out there. Just go ahead and do a search for it if you guys are interested. And there's platforms that are actually just focused on posting on Instagram. This one kind of is a total social media package.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's move right along. So what to post on Instagram? And I touched on this briefly, but let's get into it again because it deserves repeating. High quality images. So what does best on Instagram is really nice photos of things like landscapes, fashion, cities, things like that. It's visually based. So if you want to be successful, you either need to know how to take high quality photos or you need to know where to get high quality photos. And so you can do things like iStock Photo and pay for photos through there. There's a lot of sites where you can get free high quality images, or you're going to need to take your own images. Or another option is to actually curate other people's content. And do you want me to go into that, Hector?
Yeah, that would be great. Curating other people's content. Somebody actually just asked that. Somebody said, "Could you reprint or you use other people's content?" So how would that work in terms of copyright and getting permission and actually that being valuable?
So what I would do is let's say you live in a city, let's say you're in New York City, okay? And you have an accounting firm and your posts are primarily posts about information in the accounting field, but then occasionally you like to post a really nice picture of New York, right? So you would actually search out New York and find a really nice photo that you liked, and then you would do what's called a direct message and reach out to that person and say, hey, do you mind if I share this photo on my page? And 99% of the time, they're going to say yes. And then what you do is you have them send you that photo, or you can just screenshot it, which I wouldn't recommend. But you have them send you that photo, and then you basically post it on your page. And in the description, you say taken by, and you link back to their name.
And how do you know that their photo is original? Because I've been one time I shared content from someone else, a respectable source, and they had stolen the picture from somewhere, and I had this nasty email saying, "Hey, you can't use that picture." So is there anything that you can say about that? I mean, obviously that was bad luck, but
yeah, I would say that's bad luck. I mean, most accounts are very particular about making sure that they either give credit or post original content. So I think that's something that's kind of a rare thing to run into. But if you look at the account, you can tell if they're ripping off photos compared to, if they're a good photographer taking great original images. So I would just do your research, find someone that's within your area that you like their photography, and just ask if you can share photos occasionally. And what'll happen is that'll kind of spice up your feed. So let's say, a feed like mine right here, where I have, like I have statistics and I have different things about social media. What I could do if I didn't already take high quality photos, I could just add in a nice landscape photos with a quote, right? And I could get this from iStock. Or what I could do is I could feature someone else's really nice photo. And then in the comments down here, I could just basically say, instead of have this quote I would just basically say, this photo was taken by, and then link to their account.
now I do notice something, and I think you're intentional about this. One post has the white background with your logo, and one post has the picture. You did this on purpose, so when you look at on the desktop, it looks beautiful like this. I assume I never seen someone do that before.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's all different ways you can set up your profile. My theory is on this account, you notice I don't post very much. I just posted this a couple minutes ago, so it doesn't have anything yet. But if you look, I only have 36 posts, okay? So my whole theory with this account is I want when someone hits my profile for it to look really nice so they know to follow me right away, right? If I were to just have this all out of control, this whole profile, then what would probably happen is people would see it and just not really be interested. Now, if you post a lot, this kind of thing is hard to do, right? It gets kind of tedious, but I just don't post a lot on this account. I have another account right here that's for my video production company. You notice this doesn't quite have the layout, but you notice there is a theme. It's nice landscape photography. So it's really up to you how you want to set up your account. I would just, whatever it is, you just be consistent about the things you post. And that's the biggest thing with Instagram is just consistency.
Awesome.
Okay, just for you guys, if you're a landscape photographer, it's really easy to come up with content. If you're an accountant, it can be a little trickier. So what I would recommend doing is I would do a combination of images from around your community, wherever you're at, because most of your business is based local. And then I would do things like industry news and information. So right here, important stories, breaking news that is relevant to your tribe. So let's say the IRS changes some kind of tax law. That would be great to do kind of a photo like this where you give just a little information about it, and then in the description you can talk about it in depth more. And that would be something that your people that would look at your Instagram would be interested in looking and reading about and actually add value to them. Okay, here's one I just posted a second ago. 5 questions asked before hiring an SEO agency, and then I go through the 5 questions here. So that's delivering value to people that follow my page, and that's the kind of things you can do. even if you're an accountant. And you could also, pepper in throughout your profile, maybe different pictures of the office or different pictures of your team, but you want to keep it fresh and you don't want to have the same thing over and over to keep people entertained and actually looking at your feed.
So let me ask you a different. It's just I'm going to ask you for your opinion about this. If you're an accountant that has a niche or specialty, so let's say, for example, you specialize in construction, then maybe that you should take pictures of construction sites nearby, and then talk about whatever it is, challenges of construction accounting, but take nice landscape pictures of construction sites, construction workers, just to give us some context. Correct?
Yeah, I think that would be okay to sprinkle into the feed, but that wouldn't be all I'd post. I would still have industry news. I had stuff that's personal to your business, like your team and your office, things like that. But I would kind of have a variation and kind of sprinkle in different posts. Maybe every third or fourth post would be a nice picture of a construction site, and then the rest would be industry news or personal stuff about the office and team.
Perfect. Thank you.
Finally, I just have a little bit quotes and statistics. You can see here on this page, I do some inspirational quotes. It always impossible until it seems it's done. That's just kind of the theme I've gone with a nice landscape photo. That's just another option for you guys. The biggest thing is to keep your followers entertained, because the way Instagram's algorithm works is it's based on comments and likes. So if you post a bunch of stuff that's really boring and your followers stop engaging and liking that, then the next time you post something good, chances are they're not even going to see it. The feed isn't going to show them. Back in the day, Instagram was set up chronologically where whenever someone posted something, that would automatically show on all your followers' feed. That's not the case anymore. The algorithm is similar to Facebook, where it chooses what it shows people. So it's really important that you keep them interested with the content you post.
So there's a question.
Right, so this is.
Go ahead. Keep going. I thought you were done.
No. You go ahead and ask the question. Go for it.
You're talking about, in this case, you're talking about pictures and text.
Yep.
What about video? Does Instagram do video?
Yeah, absolutely. So video is great on Instagram. I'll show you, some of the videos we've done. Right here is a video. The problem with video on Instagram is that you can't tag people when you do a video. So the reach is a little smaller. But it does work great for video. So I would highly recommend, kind of like what you're doing on this YouTube channel. If you want to give just kind of like a Monday morning, 1 minute pep talk about some new development in the IRS or some kind of accounting piece of info that you want to give to your people, absolutely. That's a great way to add value to your page.
And what's the time limit? What's the time limit on Instagram video?
1 minute.
1 minute. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
And I don't think that you definitely don't need a high quality camera. Do it with your cell phone. Just make sure it's authentic and it's relevant to the type of content that you post. Like I've said before, the biggest thing is consistency. Okay, so I'm just gonna go on here. So just some advanced Instagram tactics. This stuff is probably, if you guys are new to Instagram, this stuff is gonna seem a little bit over your head, but just kind of write these words down and keep this in your memory bank for when you start really growing your page. So Instagram stories, those are the 15-second stories that disappear after 24 hours. This is a great way to keep your fans engaged when you don't actually have the time to post on your profile daily. So this is a great way to just put out content that is maybe not the highest quality, but that is very interesting and gives your Facebook fans some behind the scenes look at how your business actually runs. So stuff that you wouldn't want to post on your feed for the long term, this is a great place to post it. And that's what I would use Instagram stories for. As far as shout outs, so what shout outs are, is this is where you actually pay Instagram influencers to feature your product or your photo. And this is a great way to grow your account if you don't want to do it manually, if you don't want to do it through just hard work and engaging and commenting on other people's profile. This is a great way to do it, is you can just pay people within your industry to actually promote your content. And I would definitely make sure you do only niche related people. When you do shout outs, you definitely don't want to just have any account promote your stuff, because at the end of the day, you want an Instagram account that's niched out for your particular business. Finally, another little high level tactic is called Instagram pods. And I would say use this with caution. This is not something I use, but this is something that's going on out there. The biggest ranking factor in Instagram is both comments and likes. And so basically what these pods do is you team up with other people within your industry or have similar follower counts, and you get a program like Telegram or some kind of encrypted communication. And you basically, when you post a new post on Instagram, you're going to basically tell them, hey, I just posted a post, come like it, come comment. And when these people rush in and come like and comment especially within the first hour of a post being posted, this is really going to help your engagement and get that post to get a lot more likes and reach than it would otherwise.
It's good. Those are really good techniques. What do you think about this, Seth? I have some random people that I've never heard of before. They're not even in my industry. I don't even understand how they would care about the YouTube videos that I do. Add comments on my channel, and once I'm looking at them, I'm like, who is these people? I end up clicking in their profile and looking into what they do a little bit. Do you think that's a good technique? Like you start following your ideal clients and start looking at what they do and start commenting positively on what they do. Do you think that's positive or negative?
No, I think it's positive, but I would definitely comment on niche-based YouTube pages, because you think about this, anytime you comment on a YouTube video, what you're doing is creating a backlink, right, to your page. So it doesn't make a lot of sense for me to go, if I have an SEO company, to go comment on Disney videos or something totally random. But if I were to go and comment on videos about social media marketing or search engine optimization or things that are related to my page, all that's doing is basically, in YouTube's eyes, is creating a backlink from that comment, because when you create a comment, your profile is a backlink back to your page. So that's why they're probably doing it, for that backlink, and just to get more name recognition out there on YouTube. So I do think it's a good strategy as long as you keep it within your niche.
Okay, no problem. And do you have any more to present? Because I wanted to ask you kind of for a big ask. Do you have more content?
Nope, that's it for now. I mean, obviously there's a lot more to it, but I want to keep it real brief because you never know who's out there in the audience.
Yes, of course. So one of the questions I wanted to ask is, are there any people that you follow on Instagram or any companies that you follow on Instagram in which you can use as an example of someone like sort of following all the rules correctly? Like they're posting on time, their stuff is attractive, other than yours, of course. Their stuff is attractive, they're getting traction, they're getting likes, they're answering to their comments. Is there a couple accounts you can show us?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's two different types of accounts. There's accounts that are basically accounts that curate other people's content. So for example, I'm just going to give you a couple here. That are from my local area. So this one right here is what's called, this is an industry curating account. So this is curating content from other people, right? And you can see 7,000 posts. These people are basically finding other people's content that they like. They're asking permission to post, and then they're actually posting it right here, giving them credit, okay? So this account posts 3 to 4 times a day. Tons of great content, only the highest quality. That's one that you can look at. Let me think of another one here.
And so that's PN Wonderland, and that's 463,000 followers. Oof, that's incredible. Yeah. Now, what does having a lot of followers mean? Can you go into any of those to kind of just see what the engagement is? And can you explain what engagement means?
Yeah, so the more followers you have, the more people have a chance to actually see your photos. So let's take this for example. See if I can get to the top here.
And that was posted 3 hours ago.
Yeah. So there's 2 ways to get engagement on Instagram. One is you're going to either post a photo and your followers are going to hopefully see it through the Instagram algorithm, right? So they're going to actually see it when you post if they follow you. The other way to get engagement is through hashtags, right? So you can see this hashtag right here. You can post up to 30 hashtags on Instagram, and a lot of people will just go through and search these hashtags. And that's a good way, to use hashtags that are within your industry. For you guys, it would be accounting, it would be marketing, things like that. Those are the types of hashtags that people will just be searching, and they'll find your content without having to follow your page specifically, okay? Now, there's the third way to get followers on Instagram. Let's go back. If you look here, they actually posted the location of where this photo was taken right here. So people that are searching that specific location could also find your content if you tag a location on your photos. So let's say we're in New York. You can actually search the New York pin right here, and you could see anyone in New York posting photos that have tagged New York as a location.
And how does
And then I could come back.
Yeah, so how does Instagram know what pictures or what posts to put on the top? So is that based on engagement?
Yeah, so there's two things going on. There's the chronological order of these, which is most recent, right? And then there's the top post. So this top post right here are the posts that have the most likes, the most comments. Down here is just the most recent. So temporarily, anyone can be seen in here, right? So I could post right now and it would post right here if I tagged, what am I in? I'm in accounting, right? So I could post right now and this would pop up under the accounting most recent. If I wanted to be in the top post, then I would have to have the most likes within, you know, a 1 hour to 24-hour period for that specific hashtag. Okay.
So it's a popularity contest. For sure.
Absolutely. Anyway, really grow your account is to get in this top post.
Okay, and then let's look at one of those top posts. How do you think? Let's look at that one for example. How do you think this translates into business? Because I know this is all insightful information, but judging from what you're seeing, how does this translate into business, or how does it turn into a strong branding element that will eventually turn into business?
So that's the tricky part, especially depending on what niche you're in. It can be harder than others. So let's say that you're in a niche like landscape photography, which I've mentioned a couple times is probably the most popular niche on Instagram. It's really easy to translate that into business. You post your photos, it's your online portfolio, people see it. In accounting, it can be a little trickier. So what I would recommend anyone do, well, there's two options. Let's put it this way. You can either be an industry news curator where you basically are curating content for the whole industry, and then people see you as an expert, kind of like what you're doing, Hector, and then in turn, they hopefully will do business with you, right? That's the big way to do it. That's the big way to actually grow. The other way to do it is just to really just entertain your following that you already have. And that's what most local accountings are going to do. They're just going to basically post content. Mostly it's going to be seen by their local people. Maybe someone searching a specific town will run into their stuff. So let's say, you know, one of these people tagged a certain community like New York City or, you know, university here. Someone searching that hashtag could then find something about an account and maybe they could possibly convert and do business. Probably not very likely. So I'd say for most people, it's just going to be to entertain your current following and just keep your business in the front of people's minds.
So Instagram it's 100% picture based. So it looks, because I don't see any text. I don't see any text, at least until you click on it. Is that how it always is? You get zero text.
Picture and video. Yeah, absolutely.
Wow, I mean, making me think so much about. I mean, I can do video on YouTube pretty well, but the other stuff, not so much. Wow.
Well, what you could do, Hector, is you could actually take your YouTube videos, download them, put them in 60-second bite-sized little pieces, and then throw them on Dropbox, pull them onto your mobile phone, and put them on your Instagram page.
It's a great.
So that's a whole other audience that you're not reaching now on YouTube that you could be reaching on Instagram, and it is a different audience. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, sure. And to wrap these things up, can you log out of your account and just kind of show us how you create an Instagram account for your business real quick?
So the problem is Instagram is primarily mobile. So to do this correctly, you really need to be on a mobile, but I can do it on a desktop too. So you basically just go to Instagram.com and you can create it right here. To get the full functionality though, you're going to need to get on a mobile device, download the app, and then access it through there. That's when you're going to get the stories, and that's when you're going to get the real high level ways to engage with people and tag and all those things that they just don't let you do on desktop. I think Instagram has intentionally done that to keep a lot of the bots and a lot of the other problems that you see with Twitter and Facebook. They've kept it mobile, and because of that, that's why you get the high engagement, and you also don't get as many problems as you do with other social networks.
And if a suggestion, if you are a service professional, like an accountant, a lawyer, an engineer, a consultant, should your Instagram be you, the service professional, or should it be like your business?
I would definitely have it be my business.
Okay.
There is something to say though about, you know, a personal branding, you know, you being the business. And if people are comfortable with that, it definitely helps. People like to relate to a person, but your name and everything should definitely be your business.
Okay. Okay. And can you tell us something about Instagram and Facebook together? Like, what's the relationship? Tell us a little bit about Instagram and Facebook and how they work together.
So basically, Instagram is owned by Facebook. So if you want to advertise on Instagram, the best way to do it is actually through Facebook, which is what's called the Power Editor. I don't know if you've had any experience with that, or just the Facebook Ads Manager. And that's the way you can really get the full functionality of how to advertise and push out content onto Instagram. So I recommend everybody, get on Instagram, but I also recommend that you focus on Facebook too. And the best thing to do on Facebook right now is to run ads through the Ads Manager. That's a whole nother webinar, but that's where you can reach people for pennies, and you don't have to count on organic or really quality content. And that's probably going to work the best for your audience, because let's face it, an accountant, it's hard to come up with good quality, engaging content. It's kind of a dry profession, right? It's a numbers profession. So you're going to need to really count more on being able to push stuff out through marketing to really reach that big audience.
So you think Facebook ads is something that we should get into?
Facebook ads is the most powerful way to reach people in the world right now, and I don't think it's going to stay that way for long. Well, it's going to stay the most powerful. The price to run an ad is only going to go up in the future. So we're kind of in a golden era where big companies haven't really got into that yet. They're not really spending what they should be spending there, and it's still kind of the wild, wild west. So I highly recommend, if you guys have the time, to definitely get into Facebook ads.
And how long will it take you to teach a Facebook? I'm asking this very intentionally, so bear with me for a second, okay? How long will it take you to teach a Facebook ads course, realistically?
You could get the basics down in a couple hours, but the real power comes in when you can actually target people under real specific guidelines, and that's what's going to take a lot of time and a lot of learning. And that's the beauty of Facebook, is it has everyone kind of segmented into these groups. And instead of like a TV ad where you put out an ad and it might hit, only 1% of your audience is interested, with Facebook, you can really target in on your specific audience and only spend your ad dollars on people that are interested in your product, or most likely interested. Actually, let me bring one other little tidbit in for everybody here. The most powerful advertising right now, and this is going to go beyond Instagram, this comes more into Facebook, but the most powerful advertising is retargeting people who have already showed interest in your product. So if I just retargeting. So if I just throw an ad out there and say, hey, if you guys like cats, you might like my product if I have a cat product, that's effective. But if someone's already landed on your website or engaged with your content in some meaningful way, the chance of them converting is so much higher than someone who hasn't. So if you only focus your effort on those people, your ad spend is very low, and you can reach, massive amounts of people, compared to if you're just out there in the general public trying to figure out who likes your product through massive ads that are just kind of general based. So that's what we're doing now. We're doing a lot of retargeting. We're using things like Instagram to drive people to the site, and then once they hit the site, usually they don't convert on the first time, and we're actually doing follow-up ads through Facebook and different things to actually get them to convert as a customer. And in fact, if your audience wants a good example of this, if you go to my site, OregonWebSolutions.com, if you just hit my site, within the next 24 hours, I'll be serving up ads to you, and you can kind of see how this works. Because once you've hit my site, I know you must be interested in my product, and I can spend a lot less ad money advertising to you than I can just generally to people that might be interested in my product.
Is that why when I go, like, for example, search something in I don't know, Washington, D.C. in Google, and then magically Facebook starts advertising trips to Washington, D.C.? Is that how it works?
Absolutely. So you've been hit. Are we still looking at my screen?
Yes.
Okay, let me show you this. So if you go to my site right here, I have this thing called a pixel finder. And so you can see right here, you've been hit with a pixel once you hit my site. And basically what that is I put a tracking cookie on your web browser. And until you clear your caches and clear your cookies, I basically can retarget you with ads. And I know what you've done on my site, how you've interacted, and I can direct ads directly to you as you move around the web. So that's why you've been getting hit with those ads, is once you've hit the site, you've been pixeled, and then they basically follow you up from there.
Well, that solves that mystery.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always wondered why that happened. Let me ask you a quick question here before we wrap things up, because I never even thought about this. But if there was a comprehensive course on Facebook ads with retargeting, is that something that you would be interested on? Just wondering whether is that something that we should spend any effort creating, because I don't even know about. I mean, I know how to do Facebook ads, but I learned that basically in the school of life, just testing. But it sounds to me that if you knew that well, that you could be very effective at it. So I just run this quick polling question about what would that be worth to you? And you said it would be at least a couple of hours, correct?
Oh, absolutely. You can dive really deep into Facebook ads. In fact, I've gone and taken full seminars on them, and I've only scratched the surface on what's possible. And the problem, and I'll say this right off the bat, the more you know and the better you understand the functionality, the lower your ad spend is. So if you're boosting posts, if you're just basically posting and boosting, you're going to get ripped off and you're going to be basically paying Facebook. But if you know how to use their in-depth targeting through the Power Editor, you're going to actually be printing money, because you could maybe spend $1 and get a $5 lead, and then you can just kind of ramp up your ad spend and basically as high as you could really afford to do, because you're going to get paid more than you're actually spending. So if you figure out a way to actually get people into, let's say, an accounting landing page for $1, but you make $10 off a client, at that point you would want to just ramp that ad spend up indefinitely, as many clients as you could handle. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's great. Can you put your contact information up in the screen as I wrap up the webinar? One last time?
Yeah, if you just want to go to OregonWebSolutions.com and click on Contact Us if you want to reach out to me, that's probably the best way to get a hold of me. Or you can, if you're really interested, you want a free website analysis, look on this discovery form. And what this does is basically ask you some questions about your business, and I actually go into your site and give you an in-depth analysis personalized for your site. And that's free of charge and no obligation to buy.
Okay, well, you'll be getting mine for sure. Thank you, Seth. I really appreciate it. You did a wonderful job, and thank you for your time. Okay.
Thanks, Hector. I appreciate everyone listening, and hopefully I delivered some value there.
You did, at least to me. I got a free consultation out of it. All right. Yeah. So I hope that was something that you liked. So definitely let me know in the chat box and in the questions box if you like this, or email me or whatever. I would also love to know about that. So anyway, so again, Seth, thank you to Seth Morrissey for that. So next webinar I'm involved with would be on November 30th, Thursday, November 30th. And we will be doing, actually, this description is wrong. This will be QuickBooks Online Progress Invoicing. Okay, I know it has nothing to do with this webinar, but we're going to cover progress invoicing, price rules, and workflow. Okay, so because there has been some updates to QuickBooks Online and QuickBooks Online Accountant around progress invoicing, price rules, and workflow. So we'll be talking about that on November 30th. Very excited about that. So that's qbpowerhour.com, or go to hectorgarcia.com/webinars and you can see all the webinars. And the last webinar I do want to talk about, because this is the last marketing related webinar I'll be doing for the year, will be on December 1st. It will be a paid webinar. It's $250. It's going to be 2.5 hours, and it will be all about video marketing. So we'll talk about Camtasia, video recording, video editing, and YouTube analytics. So if you want to get into the world of marketing via video and YouTube, and that's kind of my secret sauce. I mean, that's been my key to success in the last couple of years, and now I'm willing to share it. You may want to join that webinar, and that's a paid webinar, not a free webinar. So for the first time in 3.5 years, I'm doing a paid webinar, first one ever. So hopefully after 3.5 years and 400 YouTube videos that I've done for free, I can at least sell one. We'll see if I can sell one. So go to videomarketingforaccountant.com if you're interested in that. And if I don't see you again, join the Facebook group. Email me if you have any questions, and have a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.